through this thing.
Okay.
Didn't they try to tell me no? They can't hear me now. I recognize myself. You told and now I'm someone else who can go on, not the way you do, 'cause I thought turning back
The show is being brought to you by Ed's TV Repair Service, repairing local television since 1867. Remember, we put as much quality into our work as the networks put into their programming. So don't say we didn't warn you.
Recording initiated. Transmission log 5. Live status unstable.
Machine, I found an old dial position we haven't touched since the blackout.
Designation unknown. Last transmission 18 years ago.
Patch it.
We never stop. We never stop.
They're still out there.
Warning. Frequency is consuming bandwidth from active channels.
Well, let it. We owe them a signal.
Fringe FM. Transmitting across lost time.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by new 13.5 Lives cat food. The cat food that gives your cat 50% more lives than the leading brand. This, of course, is just an estimate, and your cat's number of lives may vary according to geographical location, weather conditions, and the relative number of large, vicious dogs in your neighborhood.
All right.
It's like some contagious disease.
I guess we're gonna start this some bitch late. Man, happy Halloween, Hallows Eve. Is it Hallows Eve, Mary?
It's the eve of Halloween.
Is it?
Halloween technically goes from midnight tonight, 31st. They count it from October 31st sunset into All Saints Day of November 1st sunset in the Gaelic Irish tradition.
see. Let me try it this way. There we go. So we can get two phone lines up. It's weird because I have to broadcast to YouTube, I have to broadcast to the station, I have to make sure that nobody gets feedback, and I have to encode my voice into the station. So I got 4 tunnels of audio going through trying to make sure that nobody gets feedback.
4 tunnels, 4 portals, 4 interdimensional, kind of fits the signs of the times, don't you think, with it being hallowed season in the Northern Hemisphere? Yeah.
It's a nightmare. It's a real live nightmare for sure. You know?
Thank you for your extra work. Thank you for your extra work. Thank you for your tithes of time. That's for sure.
Well, so, you know, like I planned all the stuff, and then, to be honest with you, I got this job, Mary. I didn't think I was going to get it, honestly. I was like, oh, I think I got the job. And then, you know, then they did the background check, and I was like, oh, God, I'm probably not going to get the job. You know, I don't have the best background, at least I thought, in the world. But then when you read a background check, that's pretty scary, too, what they know about you. So I'm telling you right now, there's no point in hiding. They got everything about you. Oh, that's everything, you know.
And nowadays, if they're suspicious, I think with all the information and the spying eyes that are out there in the high-tech world, I think nowadays they'd be more suspicious if somebody was trying to hide something instead of like, yep, here's my life. That's what I did. Yep, had high tides and low tides. Here I am. You know, but it's 2025. Do you want to live there or do you want to live here? Even if you've been a great success in the past, do you want to live there or do you want to be fully present? Because Hallows is about, when it comes from the sacredness, it's that Irish, it takes its name from the old Irish word Samhain, which is spelled Samhain, Samhain, meaning summer's end. So it's one of, if not the most ancient Celtic fire festivals. I love a good fire in autumn. I absolutely do. And it's celebrated across Ireland, Scotland, the Isle of Man. And mystically, of course, it's occurring in Scorpio, and which rules the paranormal, which rules what we fear about any endings, any deaths of things, and when the door closes, when that cycle ends of that portal of who you're involved in a relationship with, the time you own that pet, you live at that location. There's the open doors and the doors that close, and it's an exit or it's an entrance. And I think the E's kind of go together. Whenever we get an exit, whether it's unexpected or a death or an ending of the way it was, it's also an entrance. It's a new multidimensional portal of the resurrection, of the ascension of, and what have I become? What have I gained from that event? And as we all can attest, some of those doors, some of those deaths, some of those, that's it. It's never going to be like this again. That was then. That was this. Now you've got to allow the congruency, the concert of energies, and you've now got to realize as an impact in your life as a very, I call them, immortal energy sweep into your life. Once the dust clears and it's swept in and the wind blows it away as it once was, it still is a dancer in your life. It's still a dance of how it was a dance of chance. We allowed ourselves to go there, be with them, live there, walk away, shut the door. That's it. What you see is what you get, you know, and the abruptness and the suddenness and the exotic excitement of it all. Scorpio is about intensity. And besides just, yep, it's another year, it's 2025, what makes this particular cycle in Scorpio, this particular ancient of ancient, multicultural celebrations of honoring our ancestors and honoring the spirit, the supernatural, the paranormal. And a lot of people like to take it dark. I mean, a lot of people investigate not just the paranormal, but they investigate within themselves what they allow other people to impart upon their lives. Sometimes people need to walk down, take a side journey, if you will, down the shadow path or the dark path or the scary clown, or oh my God, in your innocence, you had no idea that it could end up being so shockingly abusive or so violently impacting your emotional health. Your psychological survival required you to get past it. And as Joe's heard me say before, I always will stand firm on if we can have simplified affirmations and statements, no matter what we go through in life, strive within ourselves, with our own summoning of our higher self and what we summon magically, and set that intention for, I'm not going to let it make me bitter. It's going to make me better. And so there's the haunts. There are people and relationships and scenarios that went on with work and walking out of work when we were the ones that said, that's it, see you later, mahalo, bye-bye. It wasn't always you got fired or downsized or let go of. There were times where we held on too long and then we snapped. And we said, that's it. You've crossed the line, so I'm going to go. And so those are things that, first, before we kind of snap or make that decision to a greater or lesser degree, the Scorpio factor is this, am I abusing myself again? Is this self-abuse? Am I allowing too much? Am I being lazy? Am I here, but I'm really not here? If I am at this job and I'm really not applying and being open to my creative acumen, then I'm the one that's psychologically, maybe because of my own insecurities, I'm the one that's not being a full-bore team player type of a thing. And we also can't hit it so hard, so fast in the beginning of relationships. To kind of call that the honeymoon phase, where we adorn the mask of see me and how can I please you, let me learn you, and there's all the fires and sparks of that. That's a different kind of bonfire.
There ain't nothing wrong with pleasing, though. Just saying.
Yeah. And Joe and I, we talk a lot about that with you because we've all been there.
Yeah. And
we kind of want to strive for the fine balance. We want. See, the batch of eclipses that just ended this year for the 19 months that we had were in the Aries Libra dynamic. And now we have the North Node in Pisces on Halloween morning, actually, tomorrow morning, the moon will move to Pisces. So we've got this mystical, watery, Scorpio is fixed water, and Pisces is mutable, flowing, changeable, adaptable water. It's like the waves are always moving, even if they're not high and forceful. And then we've got Jupiter right now in the sign of Cancer, and we've got this energy of like, there's no place like home. Where is home for me? How can I feel at home enough within myself, my higher self, and that which I wish to accomplish at this point in my life? How can I feel, as they say, comfortable in my own skin? We've still got Mars in Scorpio until November 4th, until we're coming into that next Taurus full moon. So when you have a lot of planets in Scorpio like we do right now, and Halloween, Samhain, Halloween is also the rising of the Pleiades, the seven sisters in the constellations in the northern hemisphere. So they reach their highest point in the sky during this time frame that centers around November 1st. So in Greek mythology, the Pleiades, the seven sisters, are said to represent those cycles of the deaths, the endings, and the rebirths. So it's not just a birth and death, it's death and rebirth. So it coincides with the cycle and the rhythms of Mother Nature too. You'll hear a lot about Halloween as being the veil between the living and the dead. Is also said to be thinnest during this time due to the sun's position in the deep and very intuitive sign of Scorpio. Scorpio energy is all about how do we transform? Do we block it? Do we resist it? Do we recognize when it's imperative and even beneficial for us to allow a transformation to occur? So we're honoring, they're all teachers, and at Hallows Eve, I honor, whether it was an easy ride or a roller coaster ride, I honor all of those people, even if I was the one that said, yeah, nope, hard pass, no, full stop, no. They still, if I allowed them in at all, these are cycles that help teach us more about what we perhaps don't like about what they're doing. It's because we would not do that at a job, in a relationship. And there's sometimes we've gone through those periods of teaching, Joe and beautiful audience, of where when it was done to us, somehow we had to learn, usually in our teenage going into young adult, we did it to somebody else to see what it was like to do that. Or if you've been one of those people to where you did knock the legs out of people financially or emotionally, and you've had those addictive times or those destructive times or those inner anger lashed out. I'm never letting anybody come close to me again, so I'm going to destroy it before it even gets off the ground. Usually we've been on both sides of that, or we really loved someone and they played us, and then we get out in the world and then someone comes along that we get to see the reflective mirror of that. They just absolutely fall in love with us, and then we learn, wow, there is nothing wrong with them. It's just not the chemistry or the right cycle in my life psychologically for me to be able to let that in. We've all heard about
I went through that. I went through that.
Relationships, yeah, and vulnerability and all of that. So I believe that a lot of times, Joe, in the Scorpio season, people are stressing more about finances, and you'll have the people of logic say, oh, that's just because Thanksgiving's coming and the holidays are coming and all those celebrations of more money for the vacations or the family or the dinner table, and people focus on money because of that. Nah, Scorpio is about, I look at what I want to do, what I love to do, and the frustration comes if I can't be that in the way that we decide. All of a sudden we decide we could comfort somebody by buying that or allowing that. And I feel that spirit right now with all this stuff that's going on above our heads, we talked about the Comet Swan and Comet Lemon and the coronal mass ejections and all this conjecture about, I call it Atlas Third Eye. And everybody's, they're like, people are either wanting to make a buck on it and hype it out and start that whole thing again about which way do we go? Which way do we go? And, oh, this guy's lying and he's just trying to get clickbait and all of that. But what it seems to be going on, and we talked about this at the New Moon show, whatever's going on around us with the wars and the comets and the interstellar this and dimensional portals and third eye activations, I'm finding people are kind of jittery, and I'm finding people are willing to step out and try some new things. Like there's a different kind of courage. There's like some pulsations of courage and determination. I'm not going to do it that way anymore. I'm going to break that cycle. That's the good aspect of this with our pineal and our third eyes opening up. I believe the remembering of our elders, our grandparents, our favorite uncles and aunts, and the stories that we heard about how our parents shaped them, the hardships that they went through. And instead of I will say, being born on Halloween, I stay away from all the demonic stuff. I don't want to get in that. Some people just love the adrenaline rush of that. For me, I don't get into anything to do with the dark arts. It just never resonated with me.
Well, speaking of which, in case I don't talk to you again, happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And all those, to me right there, rather than someone buying and giving you a gift, that's all great. But those energy signatures, Halloween, to me, when the veil thins, Joe, it's that our impact of our appreciation, our compassion, our love, our desire, even for people we don't know that we've read on Instagram or TikTok or X or Facebook, that someone you don't even know has had a tragedy go on. I read today, Scorpio being the cycle of death, I read today, don't know the person, it was in this East Tennessee area, that their 12-year-old boy committed suicide over bullying at school. And I keep hearing from ages that are like 19 awful down to about 10, that there seems to be a ramping up of bullying and just real mean-spiritedness. So it isn't just Halloween that people tend to think about that. I believe that Scorpio tells us to put ourselves in check and how we are verbally addressing people in situations. And how might we be encouragers? How might we pay it forward? How might we be what they used to call, I think it was in the 90s, Joe, the secret Santas, even if it's not Christmas, the Easter Bunny, whatever you want to call it. But I spent the afternoon, I was on YouTube and I was looking for the paranormal dynamics of the Great Smoky Mountains and the Appalachian Ridge. And I found a guy, Joe, that's Appalachian storyteller. And it goes all around. I didn't remember. I'm sure I learned it in school that the Blue Ridge Mountains encompass 8 states. So I found this channel. It was talking about all these supernatural things, not just creepy, dark things, legends. And there's a wonderful video that I saw. I've always wanted to go to that Lake Lure area, and I should have done a long time ago. with the Brown Mountain Lights because I read about the indigenous cultures talking about that. There was a story on the Moon-Eyed people that lived before the Cherokee came into the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Appalachians, and the people that go missing in the Appalachian Mountains, the Smoky Mountains especially, and the different creatures that have been talked about and seen for a long time. And they even talked about, just like you and I would talk about, hey, you want a cup of coffee or a Dr. Pepper or some tea? They talked about these elder people on these interviews that I was watching about. I mean, they just said it just like I was asking if you wanted something to drink, about the feral humans, the feral mountain creatures, some of them being feral humans that they suspect are also have abducted people or children. Or so instead of the logical thing of, oh, if someone got lost, if that woman got lost in 81, that was that famous story of a little boy that got lost in the 60s that they haven't solved, and they still talk about that story in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
And the Brown Mountain Lights and Oak Ridge and TVA and all these scientific things have gone, many universities have gone out and tried to study what is the phenomena of the Brown Mountain Lights. And now that everybody has cell phones and drones, there's pictures now of it that you can watch on YouTube that you couldn't ever see what the phenomena was unless you went there. So what's happening is this is a kind of a cross-quarter time of year. It marks a time where in our communities and in the communities in the ancient peoples all around the world, they were beginning to, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, they were completing the final harvest. They were preparing the food storage. It's a good time to prep in October if you live in a four-season area. Anyway, they gathered livestock. There were hunters, whether it was deer season or bear season or boar season or turkey season. So there's different timelines when they go out to ensure survival throughout winter. And I think if we look at the old customs before there was high tech and virtual headphones and video games, I mean, when you were actually dealing with the outdoors, when you were dealing with the stars, when you were outside looking at what creatures were you hit your chicken coop or whatever, and you needed those eggs, you needed those chickens. So there's traditions where we honor, like in the Mexican culture, the Dias de Muerte, Muerte, the Day of the Dead, and it goes Halloween, Hallows Eve, Halloween, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, and it rolls right there with those 3 days. And people even look at November 1st, but they look at those three numbers, the 111, November the 11th month, and the first day. In mystical cultures, that 111 also represents one of those ones is then, who they were, how we got here, what's a part of our lineage. So one of the ones is our past and our ancestral lineage, and then the middle one is the now, the present, the gift. And then, so 11-1, November 1st, and then the other one is the supernatural, the divine alignments, where we have to summon our sacred strengths. And so it's traditional, like a lot of cultures have different dates for Thanksgiving. It's traditional to remember our loved ones. There's a thing called the Dumb Supper that some cultures do where they actually set a place at the table on Halloween. For the dinner on October 31st or in the morning breakfast of November 1st, to where you actually set the plate for a loved one that's deceased, do this in memory of me type of a thing. And in a lot of indigenous cultures, when we would do the autumn fire, the autumn fire, between autumn equinox and before we got to Yuletide, no one ate after we did the ceremony, the healing ceremony that I led and was taught. No one ate. You did every food offering that someone brought. You put that on a plate, paper plate or whatever. You said a prayer over it and a blessing, and then you took it outside to give back to Gaia, to Mother Nature. Whatever animal found it, whatever needed it, you went and you put that food out on the ground. And then you came in, and then the humans that were finishing up that healing ceremony then broke bread and drank and gave thanks for the resonance of the healing that was taking place. So the origins of Halloween, they used to carve the turnips. America changed it into pumpkins. We start looking at to kind of, part of that was and the costuming was to be able to beguile and bewitch any kind of negative energy or dark intended spirits were trying to come at us. So the whole symbols of apples, apple dunking, and pumpkins and candies and cauldrons and black cats and bats and bones are reminders of our talismans of protection, our how we shield ourselves psychically, the magic that occurs in life from our intentions and when they manifest. And like Joe was saying, I didn't think I was going to get that. Got into like there's the past, my background check, what was going on in my background, the former me versus the me right now. And someone, no matter how it turns out, when we get that job or when someone says yes to the date again, and we start to go into deeper levels, someone's taking a risk on us. And I think we forget that sometimes. Someone's taking a risk on us just as much as we're taking a risk to go on that journey, that adventure, that pirate ship in search of some type of treasure. So I think Libra, the sign before Scorpio, reminds us, be the treasure and seek the treasure, but allow the scales to balance. Let it be a win-win. Our last new moon was in that 28 degrees of Libra. The next one will come up on November 20th at 28 Scorpio. There's another one. The next few new moons are at 28 degrees, and the next several full moons are at 13 degrees. So here we got the 31st. That's just the slipping the numbers back and forth. The 13th can switch it around, and it's the 31st. So I feel that the new moons that are coming up over the next 6 months, 28 degrees. The full moons, 13 degrees of the next sign. The one we come up that's the opposite of Scorpio will be that 3-day cycle of the 4th, 5th, 6th of November. Sign will be Taurus. So right now we're in a very pragmatic, let me look at my life, let me get serious about survival and security and just taking the steps necessary to work it out, to do the work, and to get things more predictable. When you get the signs of Scorpio and Taurus, which is what we're in now with the full moon coming up, Scorpio's like, I want to know what I can count on. I don't want everything to be a question or a mystery or some kind of riddle.
Amen to
I gotta
that.
solve. So you think about some of the bad guys, the heroes versus the villains. So even that first Batman movie, that's a good movie to watch. The very first Batman, where Michael Keaton plays Batman, and Jack Nicholson, damn good Joker. God, he was scary.
Yeah, he was great.
And so in the beginning of the movie, the line that he says that goes in psychologically and frightens young Bruce Wayne, who transforms and metamorphosizes into Batman. He kills his parents, and then he runs up and he says to this little boy, did you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? So he kind of put in like a poison dart right there of energy because he traumatized. The boy saw a trauma of his parents getting robbed and attacked by this monstrous thing with a big grin, the clown in the gutter kind of a thing underneath the culvert. And then it ran over to him. He goes into the fight or flight mode, and then he's just standing there because he's frozen, fight or flight, freeze or run, freeze or fight, and says to him, did you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? So all through the Batman movie, he takes down all kinds of villains in Gotham City, but the one that got under his skin psychically, that's Scorpio, that's like Halloween, the one that haunted him, who is that one that frightened me so much as a boy? And at the end, he conquers that. But it's a nice little psychological way of showing you the mysteries. Scorpio is also about the mysteries of life. And I think as humans, we get a little frustrated sometimes, Joe, about why can't I have all the answers now? Why can't I see down the road? Why can't the psychic tell me everything so I don't have to do the work? And part of the magic is that when we hang in there, when we still seek to improve, when we set boundaries, when we say enough is enough, I can still accept you as a soul, accept you as a human, but that behavior right there, yeah, full stop, no. Or, yes, more please. That's the way I want to be treated. Thank you for seeing me in a way that's important to me, and how might I get to know you to whenever we interact, that I make sure that I'm also seeing you and recognizing you. And I think these eclipses that we've had and what we come into next year, and now that Neptune, boom, October 22nd, Neptune retrograded back for the last time in Pisces. It went, the marker times of 2006 and 2011, and look at this storm Melissa. And last year, late September, October, Hurricane Helene up in these mountains. I've never, and there's people that are interviewed that have lived in the areas for 5 and 6 generations and have never had a storm like Hurricane Helene was in the mountains, and that they're interviewing the 911 operators, and they're interviewing the people that came in, just and how we're going to do God's work. They want to give us money. We're not taking it. So there's that soul tithing. And I found in my life that when I soul tithe and I listen, not just to the psychic goosebumps, those can be ego-driven or something that we want, but when all of a sudden you just get this feeling, don't drive right now, or go do that over there right now. Go ahead and take that risk. Do that. Get beyond your fears and do it. And you step into it with faith. Halloween can be about demonic and dark and creepy and scary fear-based stories, but sometimes when we face a fear, we conquer it and we rise above it. And I think that's a lot of times why monsters come into our head or come into our life, because we're supposed to rise above it and it can't ever affect us again. And so it's reminding us Halloween every year, and especially with the moon in Pisces and Neptune there and Saturn about to be there until late January of 2026 in the sign of Pisces for the last time for 165 years. Give or take a few years there, but that's a lot of time. So I feel, because Neptune is retrograded back into Pisces, Saturn retrograding back into Pisces, that what hit us in 2006 and what hit us 19 years ago with the eclipses and what hit us 30 years ago when Saturn was last in Pisces, those cycles, depending on your age, those timelines 19 years ago, 30 years ago, and the year of 2006 and the 2007, we're healing as we go into the final months of 2025. We're healing from those people and those situations and gaining strength that we didn't know we had from every one of those timelines simultaneously. So if you're just turning 30, if you're turning 60, if you're around people in those ages, that gets that 30-year cycle of Saturn. If it goes back to 2006 and it's only 2025, it's going to catch a lot of different various age brackets. And so that was a very intense time. So these eclipse cycles, the eclipses, they take 19 years, 18 and a half to 19 years to do their thing. So right now, the supernatural area of all of our birth charts, all of the main 2 signs in the main houses for the next 6 months are going to be Pisces especially. That's the work to be done. Those are the healings that we need to allow. Now, the opposite of Pisces is Virgo. So since like July, August of this year, we've had to confront in some areas very sharply, very intensely, physically. A lot of people having to face health issues physically, not just in their head or loops or loosh or psychic cleaning or soul surgery, that literally had things going physically that they absolutely have put off long enough and they have to address. And it's as if the Virgo side is saying, the South Node in Virgo is saying, you will do the work now or this condition could deteriorate. This condition could get worse.
That's big time true. Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
I've
Joe,
experienced
I'm talking
that
like
personally.
8 out of 10 people that I'm talking to, Joe, that's how high the stats are.
Yeah.
That's how high the stats are of people having stuff going on to where they just can't. A lot of people put off things because it's a little scary to them or it's uncertain, or they don't even know if they can trust the doctor or the chiropractor. There's people that will lean holistically. There's people that will try to trust the system, and big pharma disappoints them, or they went to the wrong massage therapist. So it's good to use the supernatural and the divine to align you first. Take it from your soul, from your fears, up to the divine, up to Creator, up to the Holy Ghost, up to whatever you're aligned with, that's your supernatural gateway of safety and protection and soul strengthening. Like, what is it that you call upon when you get into those times of trouble or fear or chaos or confusion? Go there first. Let that be your first step. Take this from me. Thank you, holies of holies. Thank you, almighty I am forces of light. Spirit, Holy Ghost, Great Spirit, I put this on the altar. I don't have it figured out. I will come to you and say that I'm frightened or confused or at a crossroads. I ask for your guidance and I'm not going to interfere. I, Mary, am going to step out of the way. The ego's going to get parked over there, and I'm going to say to you, enliven me. I receive it, and I will also bear witness and testimony to it. There was a motorcycle guy in this area, Joe, motorcycle preacher, and on Easter Sunday, he was, now I don't know this guy, but I remember seeing it on Facebook. On Easter Sunday, Joe, he was going with his on a motorcycle. They were going to go do an Easter sunrise thing, and some of his family members, like they do in the country, were following. It's Easter Sunday, following him in cars. There was a lady that pulled out, hit him, did not correct herself, hit him again, and drove off. And they since caught her, and she's in jail. Family saw him get hit, went down, knocked him out. The moment that I read about that, I said, I didn't even know he was a preacher. Then I just heard about this awful thing, in the area about this motorcycle guy. He went into a coma. I kept praying for him. Travis, wake up, Travis, wake up, Travis. I mean, he's never met me, don't know him. And I kept getting psychically, Joe, this man that was so innocently hit, and literally his life changed on Easter Sunday. Who's a preacher, motorcycle preacher. The motorcycle gangs rode for him. Rose, wanted to raise money for him to help his family, his daughters, and all that. So the other day, I'm going out of a neighborhood, and the person I was riding with, their pedal commander went wonky, and it made the car wouldn't take gas at all. It was like some kind of add-on, after factory add-on, and the car wouldn't even go. Pulled into a church parking lot, didn't quite understand what was going on with it, like had guesses and all, but I'm beginning to search on YouTube. Man drives up in a car. They were having a revival, like what they call a homecoming. He pulls up, and I'm like, okay, this might be prejudicial, but I know country guys know thing. I'm getting out of the car. So I get out of the car, and I said, could you just kind of check this and see what this is? Like something fell down behind the gas pedal there, kind of a thing. He comes right over, gets his phone, fixes it, gets it back up in there, and he's one of the ministers for recovery that's going on at this church. They're doing like addiction recovery. And I said, do you happen to know, I remember this guy got hit on Easter. Do you happen to know the guy, Travis, with the motorcycles? Yeah, he's my best friend. He said he woke up. I said, wait, it's a glory moment for me, because he's been in a coma. I mean, he's been in a coma. And he said, he broke a neck, he said, no, he woke up. He woke up, and he said, and what a testimony. What a testimony and what a witnessing it's going to be for all that man has gone through since Easter Sunday and even the day of Easter Sunday. And this guy fixed it, and I said, well, it says in Jeremiah 29:11, he looked at me, we're strangers, and he looked at me and he goes, yeah, my name's Jeremiah. And I'm like, oh. I said, can I just throw my hand up to the heavens for a minute and do a glory moment? Like, you don't know me, but I don't really care. I got to do my glory moment, because I know when God has spoke to me, and this thing's got layers to it that harken back to Easter Sunday. And I just happened to see a post on Facebook and started praying. He goes, it all connects. And he fixed the car, and we were on our way. And where did we have to pull over with the car, just leaving the neighborhood, was a church.
There
Church
it is.
of God. And I'm like, you don't need tarot cards all the time, folks. It's just an artistic tool, but it's one of the ways with signs and wonders to behold that someone can use cards that have artistic images on them. Tarot, more than oracle cards, have elements and colors and animal totems, and they tie back to regular playing cards and seasons of the years. So it isn't that you believe in astrology or you believe in tarot or runes or numerology or chiropractors or just that doctor that says take this medication or this shot. You don't give your power away. You see what the message is, and you don't, as they say, fall in love with the messenger. You begin to take in the medicine or the truth or the revelation into your own system, because you came in here and arrived here already plugged into the most supernatural power of life that there is. And to me, a holiday like Halloween reminds us of that. It's about rebuking the darkness and the Scorpio Phoenix that rises above the flames and the spontaneous combustion of its own, many times self-created points of destruction. So Halloween is about Scorpio, and will you be the eagle? Will you be the phoenix? Will you rise higher than the challenge or the loss that might have come on your path? And will you have faith that even if you might not have blah, blah, blah in your budget this month, will you have faith and with whatever's in your budget to do those acts of kindness and those encouraging words, if you'll do that, the free tithes that we can do, the tithes of our time, the tithes of our kindness or our appreciation, just saying thanks, for opening the door like I've talked about, those things add up in your karmic bank account. And trust me, when you need it, it's there. It comes in supernatural ways. And I'll say one more time, Joe and I, remembering our wonderful grandmothers, my mama, I remember sitting in the swing, and, she always threw out that, just like these monks that are high in the Himalayan mountains, people climb up these mountains and they give you a riddle to solve. Scorpio is also about solving the mystery or the riddles so you don't get hung up in the process. And she looked at me, she just come right off the cuff. She was just a hard-boiled Pisces wisdom mountain witch kind of woman, herbal woman. And she looked at me and she said, there was a knock at the door one day, and that tone that she did, I knew that was going to be another spiritual teaching. She said, there was a knock at the door one day, and I'm like, oh, okay, Mama, because I'm thinking, here we go again. I'm going to have to figure out a puzzle. This is the way I put it in my head. And she said, yep. She said, fear came a knocking one day. Fear was a knocking. And she said, faith answered the door. There was nobody there. Then she'd just walk out and leave. And I'm like, wait, I've got to kind of put the pieces of that puzzle together. Then about the end of that day, when we're having some cornbread and pinto beans, at the end of the day, she'd say, fear and faith are opposites. Fear is the opposite of faith. It says, are we going back to the knock at the door again that you told me about in the porch swing this morning? That's right. Whenever you're in fear, whenever you are afeared, as we say in the South, she said, you need to get stronger with faith, because faith is the belief in things not yet seen, not yet heard, and not yet experienced. And for me, each Scorpio birthday, like last year in October, I did a hard discipline with myself that every day I was not only going to say 3 things I was thankful for, but I was going to seek, bear witness to at least 3 things, often many more. They got stronger, but I had to do that. That was going to be my assignment. This one, as I come into this year, it's about, again, being much more present and practicing those attributes of putting faith in action and being able, whether it's in a financial budget or not, being able to get really creative with, as Joe and I mentioned 6 years ago, bringing back random acts of kindness and paying it forward with faith and grace. That kind of generosity, which is why I do this show, the double show that we do. It's why Joe and I do this pre-Halloween, to be able to remind you that nothing need have control over you or your future, but sometimes that encouraging word, that artistic oracle card or tarot or scripture or something that you see artistically that inspires you, whatever is an inspiration or that lights your match. That's my hope, that there can be, even though Scorpio is a water element and the moon's going from Aquarius to Pisces, the inspiration to be able to have spirit come in, and I'm only a channel, I'm only a conduit for that, to be able to activate the faith and the gift of being able to receive a message for someone and just speak the words to them. It's never about, wow, Mary Dusina is so great. It's about what an honor and how rich it is to be able, and many times as we've had on this show and many platforms, is to see how it changed the child, the older person, the person going through really troubled times. Scorpio is the sign of death and dying. And so when we have to confront that animal or that person is actually going to leave. So whether we've had good times, bad times, on and off switch times with them, when they actually leave, then we're going to go on a different adventure, and we're going to have inventions of energy that come into us about, my mama's not here in the way that I knew her, but man, is she close to me anytime, every day, if I want her wisdom. Many, 4 decades later, 5 decades later, I can still receive all of those seeds of light that my mama gave to me, and she didn't have much money, hardly anything at all. And I wanted to be in her house with her, around her, more than the wealthy relatives. I wanted to be there because that was rich, viable, healthy, powerful, safe energy. And those are the people that I believe it's best for us overall to prioritize in our life. And they may not be relatives always. It may be that person is not a crutch in my life. That person is a walking stick.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about that earlier. You got to appreciate being, like if you can't, if someone can't, really all you have to give anybody is time and energy. That's all you have to give. So like if you can't appreciate someone for who they are, like their being, then you're pretty much using them as a tool. So like I don't know. I had a big discussion with a friend of mine earlier about that because he, I don't want to tell his story. He can tell it if he wants to, but he faced death, like literal death, a conscious transformation that happened to him very intensely and all of a sudden. And we had a big discussion about that. Like, what is it with this whole thing about trying to achieve? I need to achieve, or I need to, in order for me to give or accept love or whatever it is you're trying to get, I got to go out and achieve it. But you really don't. You just be yourself and that's it. And sure, maybe not everyone's going to love you or be around you or whatever, but like, wouldn't you rather just be yourself you know what I mean? Like facing a lot of your fears is just being you. Most of your fears is just being you.
Why are we stopping? Why are we stopping giving our permission to ourselves to be who we are and let them see who we are? It would solve a lot of out of the gate relationship problems, because instead of just kind of saying, well, maybe they won't notice, or, oh, wow, they're really into going horseback riding, and I really don't want to do horseback riding. I mean, I might go with them, but I don't
like horses, Mary?
I don't want to. Oh, yeah. I was the girl that grabbed the horse by the mane and rode bareback. But other people like motorcycles or car races and demolition derbies and all that. That wasn't my thing. I mean, I drive carefully because as far as I'm concerned, that is a roller coaster out there. There's a lot of nut jobs out there I've seen over the last 3 years. So I do drive defensively, because a lot of people are driving offensively these days. And there's a lot of people that, the adherence to the rules or the signs, it's not a thing in my area. It's not a thing. And locals are talking about how bad the driving is. Haven't had a recent report in Florida, but I've gotten them out of California and Colorado, and people are like, good grief, what's going on with people? So that might be something you'll tell Joe in your area, what you're noticing in an area that you've driven in a lot. Has it changed? Has it gotten more drastic? I've seen it here. So I believe that, like Joe was saying, ambition and driving ourselves, that can trigger us too, because sometimes drive and ambition is in order mainly to prove to ourselves. We think it's our parents, we think it's a potential lover, but a lot of times we're pushing and driving ourselves to be more attractive because of my title, my societal standing, the money I make, the assets that I have. And then you find out real quick when you've been both places, the high on the financial status scale and the not so much. And you find out how many people were false-faced around you, but they really...
everything comes down to, like, authenticity. That's your biggest fear. Other than facing the unknown or the void, the rest of your fears have to do with authenticity. Like, could I possibly be loved just being me? Can I,
Absolutely.
When it comes to relationship stuff, do I have to achieve? Do I have to prove I'm a subset of something or status or whatever? And you can go do that and you'll attract certain types of shit into your life. And then eventually the authentic you tries to come out and you're like, but I'm being vulnerable. No, you should have just been you the whole time. And then you don't want those people leave and they're like, oh, why they leave me? Well, if you were you from the very beginning, from the very start, like all of you.
Exactly.
Instead of trying to achieve something, so somebody likes you, somebody admires you, somebody looks up to you, somebody whatever. Anytime you really fall in love with somebody or you have a friendship or even business stuff, like business, we all got to do what we got to do. But wouldn't you like to do what you love for a living? So all this stuff is just a fear about you being trying to be accepted when you don't have to be.
And look at the main thing of Halloween. You can have fun or any kind of costume balls or type of thing. But at Halloween, when you think about costumes and dressing up and becoming, morphing into different kind of characters or creatures, also look at the one that you've tended to lean into over the years, the ones that you had the most fun with. So we're able to release our personality, and maybe we signature it a little bit with whether we were dressed up as a dragon or Donald Duck or a witch. and are you a good witch or a bad witch kind of thing? Are you a flying monkey and scared the little kids in the movies, or are you in the 80s and not Barney? What is it you're dressing up as? So it's a video game character, but what is it about that choice of, if I'm going to put on a costume and I want to go present myself, now people can't see my face. Now people don't know exactly who I am. So as I go out and I'm presenting visually as this, what message am I intentionally sending? It's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting when you walk down the aisles of the costumes, or you go to Spirit Halloween stores and you look around and you find out, what is it that attracts me? Am I going to wear a cape? I've never put on, the only horn I ever put on in a Halloween costume was when I dressed up as a unicorn one time in Tampa and took second place. So
you dressed up as a unicorn? Did you just slightly brag about your uniform outfit, Mary?
You know what? I was happy about taking second place because there was a divorced girl that showed up and she was a unicorn. And so I said to her, we can take this. We can take this because it's two females as a unicorn. I said, I'll stand up and do my paw. Oh, I had the fur and everything. I'll do my paws in the air. And I said, but you've got that cute little costume on that flatters your behind there. And it's not nasty, but it's very attractive. And I said, we'll win it. And I said, I live here. I don't need a free stay at the Omni Hotel. I don't need the full-length mirror. You're going to get all the prizes. I just want to have the fun. She goes, are you shitting me? And I said, no, let's do it. So I said, and here we were like in the top three. And here comes the unicorns, and I pawed up and went into the character of the horse and the unicorn, and then I said, you just do that little horsey, nay, and wiggle your butt just like that. But it wasn't nasty. It wasn't nasty at all. And the audience voted us. And so he said, oh, my God, you win the three-day weekend at the Omni Hotel. And he hands me the thing and
Mary,
and the mirror.
It wasn't nasty.
And I gave it to her. And I gave it to her and she just looked at me, and to your point, Joe, she said, I just got out of a really abusive relationship, and I've got a daughter. And she said, and I wasn't even going to go out this year. And my mom said, get out, change your luck. I'm going to watch your daughter. She's safe. I'm so proud of it that you got out of the abusive relationship. Go have fun. And see, again, spirit, God, the divine work, and she won the prize. I mean, she didn't have the money. It was the Omni Hotel. It was like a really nice hotel. And so I said, I live here. I don't need a free weekend on the beach. I don't need it. And here's the full-length mirror. Give it to your daughter. Have a good time. You rock the Casbah. Here we go. And I just had fun on Halloween. But that was the magic that I never knew and I never saw as I went out that year just to go into a crowd for Halloween with a bunch of friends. So, I mean, you never know when the magic is going to say, can we trust you to be an antenna to be able to bless another person? And I promise you, it feels really good when somebody blesses you. Yeah, absolutely. But when then you get to be the transmitter, and you get to be a part of all the moving parts that come together to bless somebody else, sometimes even a stranger, rather than someone you would love to help or bless. It's good medicine. That's why indigenous cultures talk about the medicine bag or your totems that are talking to you. And I urge you all at this magical time of the year to really start looking at, in the Northern Hemisphere, when there's spring and there's autumn, we're beginning to see the beginning of a season in spring and the ending of the growing season in autumn. Start to look at which kind of creatures in nature are wanting to get your attention. I saw I think it's called a merlin. There was the smallest falcon that came that was in the Appalachian area. And I'm like, I didn't know that was the smallest falcon in the world. And I saw one. They're like really hard to see. And so I knew that was going to be one of my other totems. And they'll get your attention in really weird ways. Like Joe has stories about
I had a horse come up into the shop, into the shack, like at 3 a.m, a whole damn horse came in here. Not like in my door. Don't get me wrong, but I was in hypnagogia when I woke up and I'm hearing hoofs on concrete, and I thought it was Baphomet. I thought, oh damn, Baphomet's coming to get me
creepy stuff. Yeah,
because I was in a hypnagogia, so it didn't make sense to me. Then I realized, wait, I'm back to reality. There's what is that? And I went outside, and there's just a horse. You could see it just barely because it was so dark, the moonlight shining off of it. Just I don't know what it was doing in the shop, because here in the shack, there's a garage back. It's like a big 3-car garage thing, but the horse was in the garage, and anything that goes in that garage, I can hear it. So I
You
shooed the
probably thought
horse,
you were being broke into, didn't you?
whole damn horse, not a half a horse, a whole horse, right? So I shooed the damn thing out, pushed it back, went all the way down the neighbor's house, put it back in its pen. I couldn't shut the door because of the way their cars were parked. All the other horses were going crazy because this thing's out. I come back, shut the door, and here it comes again, hoofing around, Not only that, dunging all over the yard, so I had to shovel horse shit the next day. But
the horse came as your messenger. The horse came as your messenger. When you start looking these things up, as Joe did, because he has that diligence. And here he was defined to the audience when you said I was in hypnagogia. So you were like in a meditative or out of body state when it happened?
yeah, pretty much.
When
I
it
was
first happened?
I was turning the dial back to earth reality when I heard the hoof prints,
Right. But you were kind of out there enjoying one of your
Hoofs.
soul out journeys. And here comes this noise that brought him back to 3D, whichever dimension he was visiting or jumping timelines. The horse made enough noise. He trumpeted or made enough noise to make Joe go, what in the Sam hell's out there? What's beating up against the walls out there? What is that? Is it a human? What is that? I got to go see. So he had to get kind of prepared to see what's on the other side of the door that's knocking.
Yeah.
And Joe didn't just look at the horse. He also took it back to try to get it into safe pasture. And so even though the other horses were upset, he took it back to safe pasture, but the horse got out again and wanted to come to be with Joe again, like we talked about, a year ago with the chicken, the hen that was showing up for you.
I should have just jumped up on him and rode him at night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rode him back over there. Maybe that's what he wanted, but at least now the native peoples will teach you that when an animal comes, if you've got a carrot or a chopped up apple or, horses love peanut butter, by the way, just to give him something like that, and then
Peanut
put
butter.
it, sometimes to keep him in the pasture, just kind of put it on his leg, and he'll stand over there and lick it. But I mean, the horse is you moving forward, and horse is always about freedom, horsepower, and liberation. And it's a big animal. It's a big animal. It's not like your totem being a little tree frog. So the horse is like bigger things are coming, and what's important for you, and one of the biggest things of power for you right now is liberation and freedom of movement.
I like being free.
Right. And the horse is saying, I got you. I showed up. Let me pick a card for you, Joe. Real
The
quick
only
before
thing
we go
I
to break.
fear is a cage. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So transform the cage to. There's a Celtic prayer that when people do a hand fasting, when they do like a Celtic or an Irish hand fasting, and a lot of earth pagans will do that instead of a traditional wedding. One of the things they say, and they spin around 4 times, and they have little cakes and something, usually mead to drink. But the blessing that they say before they spin 4 times for the 4 directions and 4 seasons, if you want to look at that, whichever culture you're looking at, is they say, may you never thirst, may you never hunger, may you always find and have safe shelter, and may you always abide in peace. So, and then the couple is doing the hand fasting, and they jump the broom and all of that. So if we can identify what our fear is, we're halfway over it. I don't want to be in a cage. I don't want to be held against my will. And you were leading the horse back to the pasture, and the horse is like, yeah, I choose to get out of my safe pasture to come over here and let you see me. I'm making a concert of energies with you here. I know I'm good over there. I know those horses miss me over there, and I know that, I'm probably going to be the ones that piss off my owners. But I still wanted to come over here before I stay over there to say, we got a connection, buddy, and I just thought I'd come and see you. So you look at the colors of the horse, and you look at how the horse looked at you, and if it let you pet it, and things like that, because those are all significators of high magic. The colors of that horse are going to be colors that are lucky for you in design, in clothing, when you recognize other people wearing those colors. When those colors jump out at you, those are going to be the colors that, for the close of this year and all the way into the sign of Taurus, is good magic for you.
Well, I'm all about that Taurus energy right now. I don't want to be, listen, I'm not going to become a hedonist. I can tell you that.
Right.
But here's the thing
Me
that
either.
I figured out about something. You correct me if I'm wrong here about astrology. But where your Chiron is, that's usually where your suffering happens, but also your healing happens, right? So,
Right.
I got this book my boss sent me. It's called "The Obstacle Is the Way." It's a pretty good book, and it kind of reminds. I started thinking about that because you and I had a big discussion about the wounded healer, like Chiron and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, the hardest thing that you need to do is the one thing that you really want the most.
Right.
It really is. Sometimes you don't think it is. It's like, that's not even in my nature. Like, but if you dig deep enough and it's caused you suffering, there's probably something there that you can do, and it probably will be an obstacle, but that if you could just push through it, I don't want to get into a real long story, but this kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier about health and all this other stuff. Like, I just realized that I love this Taurus energy. And the weird thing is that everybody that's came into my life, like my son, my ex-wife, the relationships I've been in, they have a ton of that Taurus energy in there. And I've always butted heads with everybody, but really it didn't need to. They were just showing me something I wanted,
Right. Well, and part of the key of that in astrology, whether it's your Chiron or Saturn Chronos, showing you where your fears are and and the limits, become strong teachers for us in our lifetime. And for a lot of people, it can be a hard Mars or Pluto placement in aspect of those. But where our fears are also teachers, and if we can stop just saying, no, I don't want to deal with that because I'm afraid of that, or I can deal with that a little bit now. Wherever we have the wound, Chiron, the wounded healer, the wound in the Greek myth of the centaurs, Chiron could heal everybody else, but Chiron had a wound that wouldn't heal themselves, and so they were highly effective in healing anyone that came toward them. So, but if you will, the challenge for Chiron is you will be an incredible blessing for other people. That's your thing, this gig, this life walk, this mythology about you, and you'll be hailed in the heavens forever for that. But the Chiron is the wound. It's kind of like when a kid just won't leave a scab alone or the Band-Aid alone. But you got the Ace of Pentacles card, Joe, and
ooh, that's a good one. I want that.
Yeah, I
just was talking about that.
Has the lilies on them in most decks. It's the Ace of Diamonds in regular cards, and the biblical scripture that always stands out for me on that one is when people really delve into it and not just get lost in just the obvious meaning of the 3D world words. Consider the lilies of the field, how they toil not, how they want not, W-A-N-T, how they want not. It's provided for them supernaturally. The peace lilies, the fire lilies, the calla lilies, the tiger lilies. So the lilies have a lot to do with kind of like in comparison in Buddhism, the many-petaled lotus. So the lilies have to do with the flowers of faith, the flowers, and a lot of people use lilies even at the Easter celebration. So the Ace of Pentacles, and it opens up Yuletide, opens up winter solstice. So each suit opens up a certain time of the year, and in the Northern Hemisphere, the Ace of Pentacles opens up that December 20th, 21st seasonal cycle, and there's only 3 zodiac signs to each one of our seasonal cycles. And so it opens up Capricorn. All the cardinal signs open up the seasons. It opens up Capricorn. And most people pay attention to Capricorn thinking about Christmas, or they think about New Year's Day. Those are Capricorn holidays. But Yuletide and winter solstice are very powerful days of welcoming the hibernation and what we're to focus on and what we're to look at the foundational level of things. And so with the Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces season, Joe, those signs and those 3 months of the Pentacles timeline and the tarot blended with the celestial star language, the Pentacles, the diamonds have to do with it's a season of increase as you take your Capricorn focus and work with the process. Like Spirit's saying, we got a process and a procedure for you that requires boots on the ground, you to learn from it, pay attention, stay diligent. Capricorn is about, you'll get to the top of the mountain, but don't try to rush the process. Don't overdo it. You can't give if you're an empty vessel. If you exhaust yourself,
that's right.
You can't give to anybody else if you're an empty cup. So take those points of restoration. Don't be a people pleaser with other people. Capricorn is let your work goals, all of your work goals, be your teachers and your blessings right now.
Amen to that. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Good.
Perfect sense. I've never gotten the Ace of Pentacles. It's always been like water cards, That's good.
Yeah, that's an nice earthy card, and it's the cardinal, card. I mean, it starts with Capricorn. Capricorn's ruler is Saturn, and Saturn is the due diligence. The boogeyman of Saturn, speaking of Scorpio season, the boogeyman of Saturn is when we ignore what it is that we've ignored too long. You know, Saturn says, hey, I need you to discern this. I need you to correct this. And why are you hanging out with this habit? Why you're even seeing that it's not the better side of you. It's a minus. It's not a plus. So you have the choice here. You have the choice. You know, the art of war and, you know, being able to choose your strategy and to thine own self be true is a real Saturnian type of. I see. I'm not afraid of Saturn as a karmic sheriff because I don't do mean things to people. I'll halt people from doing mean things, but I don't. It's never in my heart to go do mean things to people or animals. Now, will I have to control myself if I see somebody trying to be mean to an animal, a young child, or an older person? Oh, yeah, because there's a warrior here. Yeah, no doubt about it. So I say to God, listen, let me take care of it in prayer and meditation because you put that stuff in front of me. You know, I'm not going to walk away. I'm not going to walk away. So conversely, I have to make sure that the dark or demonic energies wouldn't try to stir that pot to get me to get really fired up and fueled up in a human kind of way. So that's discernment. I have to be protected enough and do my diligence every day and allow my sacred Holy Ghost shieldings and protections. And I tell the Holy Ghost, you're in charge of my prosperity. Take it. Take the wheel, as they say on the song. Jesus, take the wheel. Holy Ghost, you're in charge. You direct it. I will not deflect from your directions, but speak louder because, you know, I'm kind of a human here and I really want to pay attention. And that's the Saturn. That's the Chiron, Joe. When you decide that I'm paying attention to that as a priority and then what I want, how I'm going to weave that from a dream into reality, but I'm going to listen. I've given my loyalty, my allegiance, what I will bow to on one knee is going to be the holiest of hosts. I have to train myself to know that voice and to know that direction, and I can't make excuses out of it if I want to see immediate results. And the more you lean into it, however you are best served in the light spiritually, that's your conscious decision with God or Creator, however you want to term it. I got my system worked out. I don't go against it every time. Every time.
Yeah, it's just it's a fight sometimes, but if it's a fight, then you know it's worth
until
it.
It's not. It's not. Until we say I'm not fighting that anymore because that works, and I bring all kinds of oddities into my life. If I make a choice, I'll get consequences. So why don't I let the consequences be born from the truth? Born from the truth.
You know how you have that little devil on your shoulder and the angel on one shoulder, you know?
Oh, and the devil on the other. Yeah. Oh, and that's. I think that's a soul growth process. I do. I think that's a soul, and they argue with each other. You know, they argue. It's like the angels arguing with the demon. Like they used to have it in the cartoons too. They would have the little angel, Donald Duck, or the angel, you know, Daffy the Duck, and all these different movies. There's always the two voices wanting to keep you into chaos or confusion. And the chaos and the confusion stops when you simply find your system of prayer or meditation or quietude or hiking and being in nature to say, talk to me. What is it? Reveal to me. I will listen. I'm asking, and I'm in a point of like, I will listen. I don't want the hauntings in my mind and all those thoughts aggravating me and poking at me. Oh, it's not going to happen, and I'll never break this. Why am I doing that? Why do I give that such audience? Why don't I just stop that first? Why don't I discipline Saturn? Why don't I stop my own negativity, Chiron? And when we get out of that loop, then that type of subconscious, habitual, usually from our early childhood dynamics stuff, that chatter that our parents did when they were exhausted or frustrated, or the negativity loop that they got trapped in, yeah, that's not me. That's them, and I'll pray for them, but I'm not taking it on.
See,
when you break a generational
the devil's impulsive.
curse,
Is like this one wants me to be impulsive. This one wants me to hang in there. You know, impulsive.
Well,
hang in there.
And you can do both. If you have discernment, the impulsivity can become creative intellect and dynamic sales and great marketing because you're being authentic. People feel that and they trust it. This isn't just another salesman that's got a crunch of a bill due. This is a man or a woman that says to me, I'm working here. And this is what I see as the benefit of this. I'm working here. I'm not just somebody you're selling to. I'm working here. And this is what I see as the best game plan of any of this coming into your life. And I'll even help you think about what to look out for, whatever roofer you choose or whatever insurance company you choose or doctor you choose. You know, do your research. Most people are so ADD, they're not doing their deeper dive. And you don't have to go all the way down the rabbit hole, but it's okay to talk to the people that you trust and do the spiritual practices that you know have worked for you and that you can rely on and say, Thank you, angels. Thank you, God. Look, it's a good astrological season. I got a good oracle card. It looks like it's swinging into my favor, but it looks like the discipline I need and the faith that I can create and lean into and take my mask and my costume off. Let the costume and the mask be for fun and frolic, but not your main identity, and that you're only brave when you've got that personality, that persona, that costume on. Instead, it's like, Mary can be pretty interesting and cool, and Mary can be quiet and boring, and I'm okay with all of it.
Yeah. Like, the funny thing about it is like, have you ever tried to love somebody, whether it's a friend or intimate partner, that was caught in that web of like they need to achieve something, and you're trying to explain to these people, man, I just really like you being around, and they don't get it.
Well, I think a lot of that's societal. I think a lot of that is like, I'll be judged by the decade that I'm in, in your working years, from the 25 to the 45, I got to hit the pavement hard, and I got to make something out of myself. And, when I rewatched the effects, because they did, one of the videos I watched was Where is Chimney Rock, and where is Lake Lure, and where are the mountains of western North Carolina, the areas that were hit so hard, Swain County and all that, with Hurricane Helene. This video was done just 3 months ago. Remember, that happened last year, and it's the worst catastrophic thing. And this man, he said, here's a picture of me. Then all of a sudden they said, he said, I've lived a good life, had a lot of money, have the same wife, really happy, achieved a lot of things, had a lot of assets. I was really blessed. And he goes, I go to the doctor, and he says, okay, so this diagnosis, right? One day I'm happy with all I've achieved and how hard I've worked on the pavement pounding. And he said, you're going to die. You got cancer. So I decide I'm going to move to western North Carolina. Got the log home up, got the generators bought, and Hurricane Helene came and took it all.
Oh, geez.
And you know what's ironic? He said, I'm here. I didn't die. I'm here standing here, even though the doctor told me I was going to die, lost everything. And I decided, you know what? With the money that I've got, I'm going to help some other people around me, because I know what it feels like now to lose everything. Even though I had it, I'm the guy that had it. I'm the guy that had it and still had some saved back. And he said, so it put me into this community to help as much as I can, and I just built a smaller place. And he said, but I'm still here, and I was planning my death before it got here. And then the doctor said, I don't know what happened, but it's gone. He said, so I don't know how to tell you, except it's something paranormal and supernatural for me, because I was told I was going to die with all that money and all my hard work and all my assets and what I got from my generational blessings. And he said, and I built the home in North Carolina, 10 generators and all that. And he said, it's one of those things, boys and girls don't do that at home. I had 10 generators running to help the community and all that. And he said, and then all of a sudden they tell me, oh, by the way, you're not dying anymore. But I watched my house that I built float away, but I'm here, and I know of 11 people that died. He goes, it changes you forever.
Yeah.
You think it doesn't change?
That's the Scorpio thing there, buddy.
Yeah. And that's Scorpio. It's death, it's desire, and it's also, a lot of us get a little stale with what we expect or what we think we need to perform when it comes to our sensuality. And sometimes, to Joe's point about being authentic, how compatible are you with that love interest when you can just actually curl up on a couch and cuddle and watch a movie and not have to, quote, perform? So there's that.
I'm going to say something kind of weird here, too. Though. Okay. Well, it's not weird, but okay, here's the thing with Scorpio, all right? Like, because I've got some heavy Scorpio in my chart too, like in the first house, actually, Jupiter in Scorpio. It can be detrimental, but what Scorpio has taught me about desire is when you start like trying to focus on performing, it's how am I going to say this without it sounding like the devil? Desire isn't a bad thing. And if you actually can learn to give into it all the way to its depths, you ain't going to have to worry about performing.
That's right, because it's authentic.
I mean, it's just like it's just like dancing. If you give into it, most of the time, it'll be fine. And if you start worrying about what you look like and all this other stuff, then it gets goofy. It's the same thing. I think Scorpio teaches you about. And like intuition and psychic, because Scorpio is so psychic heavy.
Yeah. It's the psychic part of us. It really is. Yeah.
If you just
Pisces is
let
intuitive,
the
but
stuff
it's
come
passionate.
through instead of worrying, oh, what's someone thinking when I say this? Just let it come through. Give into it. I mean, you could tell Mary's good at that. Like, I hear people like when they say stuff, when they start tapping into their intuition or what we call psychic stuff, they start, the first thing that comes through them, they want to say, and then they start that doubt thing because they start worrying what other people are going to think. And I'm not saying that's bad. What I'm saying is Scorpio in my life has taught me the depths of desire, the depths of intuition, and the depths of, I guess you could say, transformation. It's still always going to teach us that too. So.
Everybody has this supernatural, paranormal, like they lean into it, whether they do ghost hunting or any of that, or they watch the movies or, the creep factors or whatever. But Scorpio is also about get out of your own way.
Right. Yeah.
As Joe was saying, pray, meditate, center yourself, and allow the supernatural connection to have a voice in your life. But always, it's just me, my humble opinion, there's no time that I don't put my divine protections on. For me, it's Holy Spirit. I call that in because to me, that's the hotshot one in charge for me. And so I have many cultures that get along with that, whether they call it Great Spirit or the I Am. I'm real good with that. And for me, when I have the confidence and I know I've called life into that upon me and within me, then the other person on the phone that I'm doing a session for, or picking a card for, or giving them intuitive insights, I know I've shifted my channel and my frequencies, and I'm allowing the divine to be my antenna, and I'm just simply being the receiver and conducting what it is the divine knows. I've got me out of the way enough, maybe more than that other person with that angst or that problem or that sadness or that struggle. The divine, because I'm neutral on that, can then flow it through me, and where the person has a lot of emotional charge and connection, perhaps fear or frustration to it, of like, why is this always happening to me? Why is it happening again? I'm not caught in that loop, so it allows me to get rid of that psychic leash or that subconscious cage or addiction, from what they learned about. We all have to learn how we react to things, how we form our anger, how we react to rejection or a no or a yes. Let me tell you, there's been plenty of yeses that happened in my life that weren't necessarily good things either. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you can have more of that. A yes isn't always the opposite of no. Sometimes the no more. I'm good. I don't need to have any more. Nope, don't need to take it to overboard. Nope, not for me. If we would stand strong on when Spirit's telling us not yet, no doesn't mean that it's a forever no, but it's a not yet. And the same thing with desires. Desires are creative intuition that says, hey, we're going to give you an idea. We're going to give you a feeling about this. What do you think? What do you think about this offer? Then the head comes into it. Well, I don't know if you'd be good enough, or I don't, how much money is that going to make you? Yeah. And that's not your intuition. That is not your intuition. Those are patterns. Those are childhood fear-based things, or parental condemnations, or school bullying, or whatever it was that got you in a cage to where, well, if anybody else is going to, I'm just going to go ahead and doubt myself first. I don't have to deal with it. So sometimes we have to put our own self in check and allow the scorpionic process of, I'm going to take the mask off. I'm not going to be the scorpion that stings my own self. Or I'm not going to let the person I'm currently dating that might be getting a little insecure because I'm starting to excel with attention, with more money, with publicity or whatever, and the person that's like, oh no, everybody's going to flirt with him. Oh no, now they're not going to have time for me. Then all of a sudden when you're in a collaborative relationship, then the other person might get insecure too about how much time are you
yeah, and that's
taking
all
from them.
comes from or you could give in to your desire and be that's like, right. They're getting attention, everybody likes them, whatever, they're attractive, but they're with me and I get to play with them.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, just give in to stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and be in the moment and give into it.
I really hope you guys hear that. When I was doing a lot of in-person media stuff in Florida, Joe, and at the time I was married to someone that had a very undercover position, in police force, So much so that I kept my media name and they kept their name so his children wouldn't be compromised. And so I had to go to a media party, not his thing at all, but it was going to be in Tampa, so I wanted him to go. And so I said, bring one of your cop buddies. It's going to be a great buffet and meal, and just be there. And that way when I'm walking out in the parking lot, we'll follow each other home. Long story short, there was, I'm dressed up. There's all these different guys. It's a media party. You know what that's like. It's an office party, media party. So my then husband's partner of 20 years said to him, look at those guys chatting her up and talking to her. He goes, don't you worry about that. He goes, mm-mm. He goes, that woman right there ain't going to do anything she doesn't want to do, and she's coming home with me.
That's
You're
right.
never going to doubt that one. She'll put them right in check.
That's what I'd have said. Yeah, I'm going to be the one playing with her later. I'm not worried about it. You know?
It's like, and he said, you're not jealous? He goes, oh, no. He said, I wouldn't want to be the one that sets her off and has them put her back in place. You know, first thing she's going to do is look at their hand and give them a look if they got a wedding ring on. You know, and she'll ask them, are you married or are you gay? And he goes, she'll put them right on the spot if they want to play. And he said, he said, no, I'm going to enjoy the fact of watching her put somebody in check if they push it too far with her, because she'll be polite, she'll be nice, and if they touch her or I push her the wrong way, I'm going to be going, yeah, she didn't need me. But like you said, she's going home with me. She's going home with me. I'm not worried about it at all. So it was just, even though we were doing something for public safety, for his reputation and his children and all of that, you just don't, there's certain things you just don't blast out in public for the bad guys in the world. But I felt very successful as a person in his life, that he had that confidence in me, that he never had to question that I was going to play games with him, that I was going to try to, have my insecurities and want that person to have to, constantly, I've got him spinning all over the place psychologically. It's mean-spirited, and it doesn't build good karma in your karmic bank account to be abusive to anybody else.
That goes back to that emotional terrorism stuff, man. That's
good. Absolutely. Emotional terror. Listen, emotional terrorism is a thing.
Yep.
Verbal abuse is a thing. Manipulation is the thing. And these are monsters. These are villains in consciousness that part of our spiritual growth is for us to call it a halt to and not tolerate that in our lives, because it will affect not only you, but the parents that love you and the children that rely on your good character strengths to steer them in life. So first, stand up for yourself. Your soul knows whether something's right or not. We just got to stop making excuses. I mean, Scorpio says, I ain't making excuses anymore. And I think you can then manifest much more effective soul-strengthening liaisons and relationships, even if that's, you say to somebody, I'm going to be straight up front with you. I'm not in a phase in my life where I want a really serious, committed relationship. So if I tell you that up front and you just want to date, that's great. I'm not blocking if something happens, but I'm not looking for any kind of certain structure to happen. I'm not trying to control the script. I really want to see what spirit does, and in the moment.
See what happens.
That's hard for a lot of people. That's hard.
It's really tough when you like somebody to see what happens. If you really are into somebody, it's tough. That's the thing about fear. See, fear, and I know it's easy to talk about on this Halloween, but fear and love run a very thin line. The deeper you love something, the more the fear is going to rise up. They teach that in Tantra, by the way. If you ever look into that stuff, it isn't all about sex. That's not even.
Oh, no.
It's not about that at all, actually. But the deeper the intensity, the deeper the want, the deeper the desire, even the deeper, especially the love, the more pressure the fear starts to put on you. Right.
Yep.
And there's a way to heal that. You have to let that fear come out and heal it as it comes out. And if you could do that with someone or yourself, you don't have to have someone. It's better. It's not better, but it's nice. But if you could do it with yourself,
better. Yep.
But I don't want to talk about fear like it's just, fear is the adversary. It definitely is the adversary. It's the fetter that binds all good things. Right. But it's there for a reason too,
It's a teacher.
Yeah.
It's a teacher. You can get to a different level in your soul. In your soul studies, you can get to a different level to where you turn to the fear and you say to the fear, and this is going to sound strange, I get it. Thank you. You were the only thing that was ultimately getting my attention on a consistent basis, because when you came up, you got my attention.
Yeah.
So thank you. But I don't want you. I don't choose you, actually. Thank you. Job well done. Hard pass, hard court no. Thank you for being the teacher. I want to listen more to my creativity and my faith, and I want to do more self-trust. And that means that I have to also, if someone's being too intense with me or too strong with me, I have to have the courage to say, I want you to be you, but I got to slow this down a little bit for me, because all of a sudden it's not you. My vulnerability is getting a little weird right now, and I need a little bit to process that, so it got triggered, and I'm not blaming you. I got to look at my trigger.
That's
So I
it.
think if people could have those kind of conversations, the other person wouldn't go home going, I don't think she liked her meal tonight. I don't know if I'm enough for her. It would just stop. It might not stop. You can't control them. You can only control your own feelings. But I think you help others not go astray or get caught up in the cage. I like that term, the cat in the cage of assumption. Just be clear
That's a
about it.
cage.
Just say, it's me. It's me. It's not you.
Comparison is a cage. Assumption is a cage. All that stuff is just a protection thing. It's all from fear. And then you run from comfort because you're afraid to go after what you truly desire. Because why? That's the real
People
question.
are afraid it won't last.
I'm not saying jump off a cliff. God knows I've done it before.
No.
But it's okay to ride the edge a little bit just to see, That's what I feel about Halloween. It's like fear smiles at you, and all you can do is smile back.
Well, at least you can say to fear, I see you, and I recognize you, and I got your mask off. Your fear. You can put on a mask all you want to, but your fear, and you're coming to my Halloween party, you're coming to my Halloween feast to say, I'm feared. That's what I do. I'm feared. Here, sit next to me. I don't have to worry where you are. Just sit next to me. And behave yourself because I see you.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't see fear, but if I got it next to me, I'll say, yeah, I got you. Yeah, you look around the room and see who you want to play with because, yeah, we're good. It's not happening. But I appreciate what you did because I'm going to tell you, 100% I'm going to fess up. When I got scared, when I got into fear, it caged my ass and it owned me, and I felt that I did go into stagnation or recoil. Then you have to take the next step of saying, do I really want to go into recoil? Do I really want to be into stagnation and repeat the pattern again? Because what I started to say earlier is when we break a generational curse, we open a door of generational blessings.
And not just you, but for everybody that comes after you.
And that's the ancestral lineage that you're upgrading, you're leveling up soul consciousness for those that have gone before us, that we still carry some of the portals of their DNA and their RNA in our own helix. And it's just me, but I've always felt intuitively that as I course correct me in the lineage of any of the energies that came into the recipe to make me, that I up level them spiritually too. If they're not on the earth anymore, it doesn't mean that they can't also receive multifaceted blessings from me breaking some of those generational hardships, so it's,
I had to do this once. I had this conversation with Corbin and his girl. They just bought a house, and they're young, and I started thinking about what you're talking about, and I said, so I had a talk with them, and I said, here's what's going to happen. From here on out, this family does this for each other, and we don't do these things to each other. And if any one of us does these things, including me, I expect you to call me out, and I will call you out. And I was like, can we do all that? And I thought it was going to be like an awkward conversation, but it turned out to be a very good conversation because they were like, yeah, it sounds good to me,
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And that's where faith got amplified and creativity found a home with Corbin and his lady, and faith found a home with you. And now what's happening is that energy gets to orbit and swirl and strengthen, and it's not a storm. It's frequencies of light now that come in and stop the storm.
Yeah. And I got a lamp out of the deal. They gave me a lamp,
And it's that light.
They
They gave you a gift of light.
I know we said we would do some reading for some people. We've talked a long time about the fear thing. Are you down to do that a little bit, Mary? Are you wore out or what?
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm good. Let's do the cards who's meant to be to come in on the eve of Halloween on 2025.
Okay. Let me make sure. I'm going to take a quick break and make sure that I got It's weird running. I'm not going to explain this to you guys. Running 2 phone lines, but let me just double check it. We'll be right back, and then you can call in and get your Halloween reading from Mary. Stay with us. I gotta check it real quick.
Tired of waking up in the same reality? Try DreamCore Sleep Solutions trademark. Our patented Delta Wave algorithm locks you into the dream you deserve. DreamCore, because some nights should never end. DreamCore, where you stay asleep for good.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Are we live? Affirmative. Broadcast channel reconnected. Oh, good. I thought we lost it again. Feels different tonight. Like it's listening back. Signal anomaly detected. Unknown feedback source. Origin, listener side. Yeah, I know. Transmission authenticated. This is Fringe FM.
At Lunamart, we've got everything you need for your next reality jump. Rations, radios, and replacement souls. Open 24 hours a day on most timelines. Lunamart, now serving realities 4 through 6.
Somewhere beneath the static, there's an archive. A record of every word we've ever spoken on the air. Accessing the archive. Warning. Emotional residue detected.
Don't open that. Not again. Not again. Not again.
I'm not afraid of Ghost Machine. I just want to remember what we used to sound like. Memory fragment restored. Playing back. 79 area code. You're on the air with who he's speaking with.
Hey.
Oh. Call Joe and make him laugh. That's what, yeah. Style my hair, breathe on my neck. Yeah, get going.
Sending on. Hey. What I was looking
right.
for.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, that's us from before. You're tuned to Fringe FM, where memory transmits forever. Somewhere between sleep and signal, Fringe FM is still transmitting. Strange thing, every night around this time, the station plays the same frequency drift. Confirmed. Sequence repeats every 86,400 seconds. Cause unknown. Feels like deja vu, or maybe time's just buffering.
You've said this.
Huh. Maybe I have.
End of loop approaching. Reset in 3, 2.
You're listening to Fringe FM, and so am I.
Introducing Monarch Mindwear, the neural headband that filters out doubt, fear, and original thought. Think faster, feel less, belong completely. Monarch Mindwear trademark, a product of Solaris Group.
Recording initiated. Transmission log 5. Live status. Unstable.
Machine, I found an old dial position we haven't touched since the blackout.
Designation unknown. Last transmission 18 years ago.
Patch it.
We never stop. We never stop.
They're still out there.
Warning. Frequency is consuming bandwidth from active channels.
Well, let it. We owe them a signal.
Fringe FM. Transmitting across lost time.
A billion people died on the news tonight.
All right, I think I got this thing working.
Not so
I think.
many cried at the devil's sight.
All right, so we're just going to try this and see how it works. That's usually the best way to do this stuff in my... Well, that's the way I do stuff, damn it. You know? All right.
I have faith.
Let's see how this works. Turn this is sad, Jack Johnson. This isn't Halloween music. All right, let's see who we got. We got 479 area code. And if you guys get feedback, I'm sorry, you just gonna have to deal with it. But 479 area code, who are we speaking with? Can you hear me? 47?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I got you.
All right, cool.
Are you wanting a card from Mary? Of course you are.
I am.
Who?
I can't hear the caller.
You can't hear the caller? Or you're going to get feedback then, brother. All right. So, what was your name again? Where are you calling from?
My name's Mitchell. I'm calling from Northwest Arkansas.
Hell yeah. An Arkansan. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
I do too. Now I can hear Mitchell. Now I can hear him.
All right. Everybody's
So
getting
happy-
feedback tonight. It's Halloween. Sorry.
That's what, it's the ghost in the machine, so to speak.
Mhm.
We just don't need to have energy vampires, but we can. It's okay if the ghosts want to listen, because much might teach them something. So, Mitchell, would you like a card?
Yes, I would, please.
Okay. So what I pulled for you, there are two decks I'm working with tonight. For those of you card buffs, is I'm working with the Hanson Roberts deck, which is where I'm going to go with Mitchell, and then I have also the Rider Waite deck because I'm a traditionalist in that sense. So I got the eight of cups. Eights, infinity symbols. Eights, what goes out, all the energy that Mitchell that you've put out, whether it's a plus or a minus, the intensity, the priority of energy that you've been putting out. Cups, that has to do with a wish to be granted, desires, emotional pastures of pleasure, things that it's like I work because I want to do more of this, or I cleared that out because I want more peace in my life, and this is how I define that right now. Because we can change that. We can level it up or just take a vacation on what we thought pleasure pastures were. So the eight has got a person that's on a journey. They've got a walking stick. They're under the phase of a full moon going into quarter moon, which is interesting. And the moon is gently in the Hanson Roberts Tarot deck looking down upon the journeyman, the sojourner. We don't get to see the actual, is it a male or a female, because we're looking at a side back, but they're under the stars, out in a little breezeway of water up in top of the canyon and the rocks and everything, among the rocks, among the earth element, the crystals, the rocks, the rocks on the mountain, the slate, the coal, the red rocks. It has a lot to do with the water that goes over the rocks, like in Tennessee and Arkansas and places like that, when we get these tributaries and creeks and areas that we go mining for unusual stones in, like Arkansas being famous for its crystals and its interesting rocks. You are moving toward a realm, a whole new sojourn, a whole new experience of like, I'm going to fashion myself into this movie script. This is what I want to pursue. This is what I want more of in my life. And it's as if you made a decision maybe 7-8 months ago. There were certain energies that were around you. Go 8 months back from late October of 2025. And I feel like that's when it was stirring in your mind of enough of that, it's going to be more of this. And whether that was a component, a single component, or several things of like, I've got to shift me in this relationship. I need to do something different with work, or I'm going to take on something on the side that I really enjoy doing. I feel like there's been this need for you to feel like that it's quenching a thirst of some kind. This is something that's motivating me, and I can feel it's like the way musicians describe the lyrics of a song. It's if I had to pick a song of this card, it would be Memories, and the version by David Gutierrez, to where it starts at hey. Yeah, all the stuff that I did tonight, I would just like to let it all go. The lyrics go, that would be the best therapy for me. That's the best memories for me. And then it goes into this high beat electronic type of beat. David Gutierrez, and I forget who the other guy is that's doing the voice over the electronics. I'll send the link to Joe, or maybe he can put it in live chat. But it's that upbeat, Joe was talking about Halloween music and synergy and energy. And I feel like that's the song for you. It's just like, all the crazy shit I've done tonight, I just need to let it all go. And it's not just tonight. What I hear when I heard that song, that I've done in my life, all the crazy crap I've done in my life, I just need to let it all go tonight. That would be the best therapy for me. And then there's this great run of a beat of, yeah, doopa, doopa, doo, doo, and yeah. And so that's the energy of this Scorpio energy that's around you, Mitchell. And when we come to November 20th, and we have that 28 degree of Scorpio, the 28 on these new moons are openings. The 28 of Scorpio, 2 and 8 adds to 10, reduce that down to 1. There's some openings for especially those born around the 19th, 20th, and 21st. Joe and I will be back on the night of November 20th. It's a Thursday. But that new moon is coming up for you, and I feel like you're in favor with it because it's a water new moon, which is an opening, the wishing moon, and you've got an 8 of cups. And so what's happening here is there's an energy surge that's taking place with you, and the new moon in Scorpio will be 28. That's a 10. Scorpio's the 10th month. And so what's happening is like there's a part of you, and you look in the tarot again, another 10 card is the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is spinning for you, but it feels like you're the one that's, quote, in a sense, going out on a limb, stepping forth in faith, and deciding that, you know what, this is my time. This is that time for me to allow and pursue that which I know is going to be the best level for the moving upward psychologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so that you're going to put it out into the real world, some of the faith factors and some of the attributes of letting your creativity have a stronger voice, more of a power place in your life.
There you go, man. Think about that. You're going to call us back?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Definitely, yeah. 8 of Cups, going out on a limb. Yeah, that's a lot to think about, a lot to contemplate.
Well, make sure
You've got the magic. It's with you.
Make sure you call us back too when all of that stuff comes to a head. And it's cool that you're calling from Arkansas. I love a fellow Arkansan calling in. That's great.
Oh yeah, I thought it was really cool when I found out you're Arkansan too.
Man, I've been here.
Tune in a little more.
Yeah, man, I've been here my whole life. Well, 95% of my life. Yeah, been right here in Arkansas.
So you met a brother.
Too.
A fellow. Are you a Razorback fan?
Yeah, I'm a Razorback fan.
Tough year, huh?
Tough 10, 20 years.
Tough 20 years, that's right. Hang in there, brother. Give us a call back, too. Let us know what happens.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
You know, if I don't have to, if the world just didn't love YouTube so much, I could make all this feedback go away. But here's the thing: I'm gonna hold on to radio until I'm dead. You know,
I like radio.
I love radio too. I actually do not like video that much, if you can't tell, but I'm learning to play with it.
Well, you know, when you learn neurolinguistic programming, when I took that whole course, 90% of people are visuals. Like, and you hear it. Here's how you know who you are by the words you use. I need you to see this. Come look at this. So, then there's other people that are tactile. Well, I have a feeling. Well, this is how I feel, and they'll talk. How does that touch you? How do you feel about that? But the least group is the audio, and yet you'll hear people say, I need you to hear this. Listen to this. I want to share this with you. And they're the podcast people and they're the broadcast people, because something goes in deeper if we don't have the distraction of the video game or the visual on the movie or just the scene, because that's how they can do subliminal music and programming and such. So I was a visual, and I wanted to train myself in that course to be more auditory, to be more of the auditory, because it was the weakest category in general of humans. So, and there's so much things that we wish we could hear, or that if we would only have listened. So I had to course correct that in myself 20 years ago. And so that's why I'll work a lot with music, or I'll have people do affirmations, or when they're driving or walking their dog, and I'll give them intentional phrases to say when I do readings with them. I'll say, okay, part of your homework is whisper this to the sky. Say this when you're in the shower. While you're driving, pay attention, but while you're driving, find the song that motivates you and makes you feel good about that situation that's chaotic and confusing right now. I'll take them on that auditory path. That's what I paid the $700 for the course for, was to learn how to work with it 30 years ago. So there's ways that you can open up other portals and other dimensions of skill sets that you've always had. You just haven't let them come play and visit with you and play in your sandbox.
Very thoughtful of you to say that, Mary. I still don't like video that much,
I don't. I know. It has a place, but no, the visuals have a place, but I feel if we're going to be discerning about things, it would probably be better for us to lean in and be a little more discerning about what visuals, even biblically it talks about that. Pay attention to what you keep putting your eyes into. Put your eyes into something motivating. Those who have eyes that will see, those who have ears, there we go, that will listen, that will hear. So it's when you get the message.
I don't think it's fair that everybody in the public gets the opportunity for free to see this face. Look, I mean, it's a beautiful face. You know what I mean? Like, I should be able to hide it and keep it a mystery. Let's see. 208 area code. You're going to hear feedback. You're just going to have to deal with it. Sorry. 208. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, this is Abby.
Abby Normal?
Hi. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Thank goodness.
Hi.
Thank goodness she's
Hi,
Abby Normal.
Mary.
Thank
Happy
goodness.
birthday.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I accept that. I accept the blessing. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. I would love a card, Miss Mary.
Okay, my dear. You got the Six of Wands, and I pulled yours out of the Rider-Waite deck, and the Six of Wands is the Six of Clubs in regular cards. It is a victory card, and it has for me. Now, I'm not saying that other people don't have very valuable ways of teaching and believing in the tarot. As I learned it, along with Eden Gray and other traditional tarotistic teachers, the wands to me are the fire element. Some people reverse that. They'll reverse the swords and the wands, but the clubs are the wands. They're magic wands. They're walking sticks. They're staffs of life. He lead me beside of the still waters. He restoreth my soul. It's like walking in the valley of the shadow of doubt, of death. I fear no evil, yea, though I walk through the valley. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So it's a magical tool. It's a helper. When people have a crutch or a cane or a walking stick. This has to do with a young person, the adult part of us, the young adult part of us psychologically. He is riding. There's the horse. He's riding the white horse of victory. The horse is all adorned in the Rider-Waite deck. This is a festive time. It's a celebration. It's a victory parade in senses. And all the people are walking along with there's six total. There's six wands. But the person that's brought back a successful message has a halo of green leaves around their head, and there's also a wreath of victory up on their wand, up on that journeyman or that knight's return. And so the horse and the wand are saying there is something very secure coming to you as you open up your new year. And I open up the solar new year when it's my birthday. So your birthday is your solar return, or when you get that new solar cycle start. And this would indicate that it's soon. And there was something about the number 6. There's something about victory as you approach have you had your birthday in 2025 yet?
Oh, Miss Mary, my birthday's on November 20th. Coming up.
I love it. So November is an 11 months. 1 and 1 is 2, and your birthday's on a 20. So then we add the 11/2 of November to the 2 of the 20. And what you have with that is there's an energetic signature that's saying to you that component of the 11 of November and the 20th, you're coming into an energy of the 4 directions. You're coming into an energy of, I have experienced enough about myself that I know which direction I want to go. And this card is indicating that because of what you've learned and the roads less traveled and your dedication to ride through the struggles and come home with a victorious message, that is an indicative of the fact that job well done, that whole saga, that whole rant, that whole position of that challenge in your life is now over, and you begin this new year free. You begin this new year like as a child. You know, as a child, I looked as a child, I talked as a child, I saw as a child. So there's some kind of renewal by you. There's some kind of a lifting of the spirit and a lot of heaviness off of you, Abby.
Beautiful. I can feel it already. Honestly, it's so cool that you said that.
Glory. Give him glory.
Glory in the house. Glory Halloween. This is Glory Halloween this year.
Yes, 100%. And I totally know where that message is coming from. It relates to my life and what I've been through the past few years. Well, my whole life, really. But yeah, that message is, you have no idea. It rings so true to me.
That's
Look
awesome.
Online,
Thank you.
Just type in your search bar, you know, whether it's Pinterest or type in your search bar meanings of the 6 of Wands. I don't care what deck it's in or that you are identify with. There's a resonating type of thing with that. And there was a song. It was called Kyrie Eleison, and I forget who did it, but it was like it's like a Latin word of like love lifts me up type of a thing. And I'll think about who it is in a minute. It was a famous group, I think, in the 90s. But it was Kyrie Eleison, and it was like, it's kind of like a higher love type of an energy. So I feel like that you have a higher respect and you have a supernatural love of how you've adhered to the path. If it's not going to take me down, they're not going to take me down. I knew who I was when I was a child, and I'm going forward as a warrioress with that child's strength, and I'm so proud of my inner child. We did it, and we will continue to strengthen together. Adult and child, we are now merged as one. It's like you've incorporated your inner child into whatever you went through. That was then. Now you flush it, and this is now, and you go ahead and you surf the waves.
Yes, ma'am. I will listen to that song, and I just love it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
You're
you.
very
Happy
welcome.
birthday. Happy birthday coming up on the new moon. I'll be back with Joe on your birthday night on that 20th. I'll be there.
That's right.
That's when we do our regular
Yes,
moon
ma'am.
thing. Yeah, we're talking all about that 28 degree of Scorpio. So that's definitely one that you'll want to, if you can't catch it live because it's your birthday, then you might want to definitely, archive that episode, on YouTube. Go ahead. And a lot of my clients are saving the replays of the YouTubes that we do. If they have to go to work early and all that, they save them. When Joe posts them, they save them, and they say they replay them and replay them, which is good. That helps Joe with the algorithms of increasing it on YouTube, too. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and save them and hit the notification because that will help the show.
Mm-hmm.
I do that already. So, yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
All
Thank
right.
you,
Have
Abby.
a blessed birthday and Halloween, both of you.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Abby's such a good name. I always said if I had a daughter, I was going to name her Abby.
Really? Well, there's a tribal synchronicity right there.
Mm-hmm. Never had a daughter.
It's certainly not a common name, and it has a lot of historic, the Abbey. It has a lot of historic references spiritually, too.
I always think about Abby Normal, you know, from
Oh, my brother loved that movie. Talk about blessings of someone that's in the spirit world. He loved ad nauseum all the Mel Brooks movies, and he loved that movie. If you just want to laugh, slapstick, and make fun of psychological anomalies, Mel Brooks did Young Frankenstein, which was funny, but he also did High Anxiety. My younger brother, who's now in spirit, would make me watch that movie with him every year, and he loved Nurse Diesel, and she was the control freak in the movie. And I always say to my clients, if you ever want to see where you're at psychologically, go on YouTube. It's probably free. Look on your different things that you play, and look up Mel Brooks, High Anxiety, and find the character that you are.
I dated a girl named Abby when I was 19. She was the only girl that I said, I really want to date you. And she's like, well, my mom won't let me. And I was like, what do you mean your mom won't let you? Like, I guess I didn't have the greatest reputation back then, you know? Oh no. Hold on. Mary's call dropped. Oh God, that's so loud. That's so loud. Can you hear me, Mary?
I got disconnected.
Anyways,
I had to call you back.
How rude of you. Cut off my story like that with your drop call. What's up with that, Mary?
I didn't do it. The spirits did it because I was talking about high anxiety, and all of a sudden I heard it go doodle-loot. I'm like, oh, okay, John.
No, so I dated this. It's cool. It's technical stuff. A live show, everybody. I dated this girl named Abby, and she said, my mom won't let me date you. And I was like, what are you talking about? Your mom won't let me date. And I realized that I didn't have a good reputation in town. Like I was known for partying too much, stuff like that. Well, we won't go into all that. But
right.
She was like, I'll tell you what. She said, if you meet me in church, then I'll consider going out with you. I don't really want to go out with this girl. I was like, church? What kind of church? She's like Baptist, and I won't say the name of the church, but it was a Baptist church in town. I'm like, oh, goody. So I remember going into the church, and she wasn't there, and it's like everybody in the church just turned around and looked at me all at once. You know how you are, the new people that comes at you. We got some new people that just came into church, and it's like, oh shit.
Oh, in the visitor's card.
And I was like, I'm here to see Abby. And they're like, oh, really? Well, Abby sits right up here. Guess where she sat at? In church. The front pew. All the way up right in front of the pastor. So I'm walking, and I could just feel everybody looking at me. And I was about 2 minutes getting ready to leave. You know, that fear thing I was telling you about. I was like, this is bullshit. I'm getting out of here, And I stood up, and she had her Sunday best on. She looked so pretty. It's like all of the fear just left my body instantly. And I was like, yep, I'm staying. I'm going to church. Today, we're going to church. So that's every time I hear that word Abby, I think about that girl.
I love that. And it's religious. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not Catholic, but I'm pretty sure that Abbey is one of the names for either the priest or the monks or some, that's like the name of where their home is, kind of a thing, that like the monastery or the abbey. There's something about the abbey. And then, of course, there was the Beatles song, Abbey Road, a long time ago. So there's something about the abbey. And her energy, Joe, with you is one of your immortal movies because it happened in this timeline. Abby represents for you that, it's like take me to church. It's like you went to church. The fears came up, and everybody's like, "Ooh," like that. And then she had on her quote Sunday best, and you went right up front and sat next to her. So she was instrumental in inviting a different kind of view, faith view, front row. And in a relationship sense, I'm interested enough in you that I don't know where this is going, but I'm committed to start the ride.
Changed my life momentarily. Brought me back home. By the way.
There you go. All right, listen to what you said. That changed my life. So she was an immortal effect. It changed my life, continues to be good medicine and a reference point that I would bring up Abby, and I would bring that up to myself as, you know what? I remember the Abby energy. Yeah, it's a blessing.
801 area code. I got a feeling this person's called in a few times. Usually when I see this, I recognize it. 801 area code. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, it's you, Taylor.
Oh, okay. Do you want, of course you want a card.
Happy birthday, Mary. Love you lots.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's so special, these verbal wishes and intentions. I appreciate it. So would you like, I'll tell you what, would you like a card from the Rider-Waite deck? Or would you like a card from the
I
Hanson
would.
Roberts deck?
This is my favorite. Oh, Hugalulu too.
Thank you. And she's laying next to me. My dog's born on Halloween too, Joe. She really is. Which deck would you like me to pick a card from, please? And thank you for remembering Lula. She likes it.
The Rider-Waite deck.
All right. So I'm mixing that. I'm swirling that. Thank you, Great Spirit. Thank you, Almighty I Am. Almighty I Am. Almighty I Am. All that is in view. Okay, the card I got is the Hermit. So I feel like that you've been in a period, most of this year, we're in the final 3 months of 2025, and I feel like, although a lot can happen in one day, one moment, I feel like that you have been the hermit and you've been climbing, looking for the higher view, wanting to get to the summit to be able to receive what it is that you're supposed to see at higher ground in a higher way. But the hermit holds a lantern with an 8-pointed star in it, and he's choosing to light the way for others. He also has a walking stick. There's snow at the summit of the mountain, and many tarot teachers say the guy on the Fool card, the younger male with the white dog that has he's made his walking stick, and it's got carrying a little knapsack with an all-seeing eye and a few possessions in it on the 0 card of the Fool, because that's a life-changing decision. I'm setting out on this journey. I'm taking very little and I'm going for it. His mature persona, his mature manifestation is the 9th card, the Hermit, which is very Virgo type of energy. So it's about, I came out of the darkness, I got on top of it, I got over it. Highview Mountain. Mountains are the breast of Mother Earth. They feed us in a different way. The ocean waters are the effluvia, that's the birth waters of Mother Earth, the salt waters of both life and death and resurrection, but the mountains feed us. And so the hermit is at the top of the mountain, and he's choosing to turn around, and in Virgo or Pisces style, give service to light the way for another that's struggling to make it to get to the top of the mountain. So sometimes when we get to the summit, when we get to the top of what we've been seeking, we realize that, like that motorcycle guy I talk about that was in that wreck on Easter Sunday, all of that ends up being, as they survive and they don't die, and they're close to death several times, they come back and it's like, you know what? I ended up being the person that jumped off that bridge. Yep, I did. I jumped off that bridge. It happened to me. I had a whole circle experience, missing time, other dimensional, saw the light, went down the tunnel, all of that. And you know what? It hurt a lot physically, and I'm here and my eyes opened. I got a story to tell that really happened to me, and you can agree with it or not, but I am a witness. I can bear witness, and I can testify. Whatever that is, this is what happened to me, who I was before, and when I woke up and resurrected and came back to change man, this is what I've come back with. So when we go through tragedy, when we go through loss, when we go through family members or lovers going, I'm not going to do it that way. Kiss my, you don't love me. You're not my sister. You're not my mother. And it's just like, okay, bye. I know I love you. Don't tell me how I feel. I'm the only one in charge of that. And I know that when I've done it your way, you've taken advantage of me. And when I've done it that way, I ended up getting depleted. So I'm finding the sweet spot. I am who I am. I am empowered with the I am. And this is the way it's going to be, because I also am going to allow, the Hermit card reminds us that we also allow the light in order to have the peace that passes all understanding.
And you have just described exactly my last year, and in 2 weeks, I am moving to the base of a mountain.
Wow. Wow.
I'm not joking.
Thank you, Spirit.
About 35 miles
Thank
south.
you, Spirit.
It happens to be the house
Holy,
my mom
holy,
passed
holy.
in, and I'm so happy about that.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. So on
Yeah.
Halloween, we're being reminded that the ancestral love of your mother, the matriarchal energy, you're going to that house. That happens to be the house. And so it's very Halloween, very seasonally appropriate, that you are going to receive the blessings and the strengths and the good medicine of your earthly mother as you relocate on your biological mother, which is Mother Earth.
Yeah, it's a springboard and finding my own again. So wish me luck.
Good. And we'll do it.
Are
Yeah.
my dogs going to get along okay with all the animals and critters that come into that yard?
Yes. 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 I feel like for like a couple of weeks when you relocate, you might want to have little new toys for them in the house, distract them that they've got something that becomes like a little kid's. Like I was the little kid that carried around a blanket, the little kid's security blanket, like when you break an infant off the pacifier. So they need new toys that they get. So get a couple of them. I don't care if it's a Dollar Tree. Get some toys right before you move. They get those. Those move with them. Is what Spirit's showing me. Then when you get there, they get new toys that don't have the smells of the other place they're taking with them, and they get some other new toys. So that's their security blanket. That's their little animals that they're not biting or hurting or killing and things like that. And any critter that you really don't want around at first close to your house, you can buy some like Dollar Tree cayenne pepper, the pizza pepper or the hot pepper, not real hot, but, just sprinkle it around the perimeter of your house. It's a really good house blessing thing. People know about Celtic salt and they know about frankincense tears and they know about white sage, but you can also work with pepper as an herb, and it establishes your smells and your energies and your pheromones as you go to a new residence, and also keeps away those critters from wanting to, and that's why peppermint oil also repels like mice and certain creatures and spiders and stuff like that, because it's the pepper, and it'll work with you at this new home.
Okay, we've got the mice under control. Peppermint oil. There's some at that house.
And pepper, the red pepper. Sprinkling, they're sprinkling the red pepper outside.
Going outside. But there's also a bunch of little deer. Well, they're white-tailed deer that do come in that backyard every single morning. And
that's okay. Everybody will adjust. I mean, the deer might bolt at first. Yeah, they'll bolt at first, but my dog stops. She's loose and she stops when she sees the deer. She knows I go feed them sunflower seeds and she just stops. And I trained her. I mean, Lulu stopped and she stops.
Better keep moving if I see them. Might end up on my plate.
Stop that.
Stop. Hungry.
Stop. Joe's going to eat. Thank you for your call. I appreciate you and many, many blessings on this very spiritually soul-empowered relocation.
You too, Joe.
Oh,
hang in there.
I will. Thank you for your call.
Take care, everyone.
All right. Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Thank you. Blessings.
Hungry, Mary. Times are getting tough with all these, what do you call it? With all these, I don't know. I just paid $4 for a cup of coffee this morning. A little bitty cup of coffee like that. Because all these whatever tariffs going on. All the stores' bags are getting smaller and stuff. I see the right deer. I'm going to make a meal of it. I'm just saying. I'll bless it and everything.
And hunters know how to do that. And in the native culture, the animal that shows up for that is making that kind of sacrifice, which is a part of Halloween too. They dressed up in costumes with antlers and things originally because it was also the time frame before they were cultivating the meats and putting it up for the potentially leaner winter season. I would suggest to you that you give thanks for the good deals. Like I do those kind of little mystical prayers, and rather than the grocery stores and the big box stores that are going up, I went with a friend at one of these places like a BJ's or a Costco's, and the money went further there. Type of the thing. I try to prep a little bit more in October and save for that. There's another store here. I think it's all over the Southeast, Joe. It's called United Grocery Outlet, UGO. Amazing the difference in prices when you can find a grocery outlet store. Sometimes the dates will be within 3 days to 2 weeks of expiration. But, hey, if I buy that all-natural turkey or that turkey sausage and it's not out of date for another 2 weeks and I slam it into the freezer, and it's like $1 a package, with no additives or preservatives. You just got to read your labels, and it's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at finding that. So look up if you've got a UGO in your area. If you've got a lot of the stores here now in Tennessee, when the produce is getting close to coming out of date, if you go 4 or 5 in the afternoon or after work, it's marked down that all-natural organic salad mixed greens thing. That went from $6 to $1 because they don't want to throw it away. And some stores then take them if they don't sell and take them to food banks, and I'm okay with that too. But you can get creative with finding these little bargains. I do have a sense that as we come into the right around that new moon into at November 20th, and between November 20th and that new moon that we come back on, I do feel like this pressure is going to lift, and I feel like that it's going to be surprising that our quote holiday season, I see less pressure on the prices of food and these there's the different things going on in the scenarios of these SNAP programs and all that kind of stuff and the political bullshit that's going on both sides, by the way. So I just cut to the chase and pray for, may you never thirst, may you never hunger, may you always find warmth and a safe shelter, and your life be blessed. I'll just go there for the Celtic Halloween, because
get
I
rid
do
of the political
pray
bullshit.
that evil is rebuked and the innocents are protected. I really do. That's the prayer I do. I just kind of cut to the chase. Evil be rebuked, and all that are innocent be blessed and prospered and abundantly held. Yeah, I just do that. I'm going to witchy anything. I'm going to witchy the beautiful intent and the sincere of heart, regardless of what it looks politically or societally or financially. Yeah, they have a supernatural grace. If I'm going to go into the treasure chest of the paranormal and the supernatural, yeah, I'm all about the light blessings. Yeah, and every Halloween I invite them into my life. So it's midnight. It's Halloween. It's Samhain. So I, as a mystic born on Halloween, Mary, am going to do 24 hours of course correcting myself and inviting the blessings and the prosperity and the wellness and the magical connections and blessings on this day of sacred calling, and thanking my ancestors and everything and everyone that's in spirit that's been a part of this journey thus far. Yep, I'm there.
Make a kid happy this Halloween. Make somebody happy this Halloween.
That's right. That's exactly right. Be the gift. Be the gift.
Don't give them any granola bars, no apples, none of that health shit. Give them some candy. Give them something to rot their teeth out. They'll love you for it.
Let them be a kid. Just let them be a kid. Give them Reese's peanut butter cups, or give them a Hershey bar. Just let them have a little moment of happiness. Give them the mixed candy bag and let them.
I always hated that as a kid. Knock on the door and they give you a banana. You're like, come on, lady, really? Hook it up.
With my engineer dad, it's like, no, they could have stuck stuff in that or whatever. No, it has to be wrapped. I had the Sagittarian father, like, no, it has to be wrapped and I have to check it. Yeah. And again, evil will be rebuked. Evil be rebuked, and may we all be blessed and receive the divine downloads and the divine alignment as we enter into this cross-quarter, very magical Celtic, Irish, Scottish traditional holiday, and dress up and be the persona that brings out the best in you. And then your whole life will be that costume party that everybody enjoys seeing that costume because it just seems to match you. It just seems to fit you. So happy Halloween, Joe. Love you. I'll see you guys on November 20th.
Yeah, happy Halloween. Happy birthday, Mary. Thanks for coming on. I love you.
Thank you, honey. All right, you too. Thank you.
All right,
Good
guys.
night, everyone.
Night. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Have a happy Halloween. Keep it tuned to the Fringe FM on the radio side. We got stuff coming for Halloween. Night, y'all.
I got a black skin suit, alligator shoes, 9, 5, 6, 7.
Beautiful.
I gave you that song. I think if you can put that, I don't know if you can put a YouTube link